I'll face my way north. We'll start burning our way out.
I mean, that hasn't worked for us yet.
Haven't tried it yet.
That was just Eric's heavy-lidded, I'm not paid enough for this sigh.
He only
Really?
gets
Because I
2
thought that was
shares.
Eric's.
That was his
I
Mr.
left
Kip
my
sigh.
glaive behind. Sigh.
And now we're gonna burn the forest, and I'll never get it back, sigh.
He did swear an oath to Ostrom.
So what is the plan for the rest of today?
Oh.
I think I'm gonna sit in a cage.
Yeah, what-
Tarin,
I mean, you do see
gonna go see-
Moonmug from time to time, walking through the clearing, or you definitely get the sense that you're being under surveillance. You're being watched from the trees.
So, like, we can't even, like, prepare spells or anything like that.
You haven't
'Cause
tried.
that'll be an act of aggression.
Well, for
you know
you,
what,
preparing spells is just praying.
And I don't need to prepare
Yeah, but-
spells. I'm a sorcerer.
I'm sure it's the moment I cast
But
them,
I mean,
it's
even if you were like,
the
"Hey,
party's
Leoman's
dead.
tiny hut, give us a place to sleep for 8 hours,"
You guys totally can't leave my house.
so angry.
Well, I'm assuming they're not going to attack us for 8 hours. We can just pitch a tent.
Yeah.
Do you even have a tent? I don't think
I have
you
a lot of
tent.
I have a lot of Zook's clothing.
So you guys are just going to chill in the clearing for today?
Yeah.
I want to see what this stuff is over here.
Okay. It's much what it looks like. A ring of stone and bones with an altar in the middle.
I'm gonna go
An
and look
altar?
have a closer look at the altar.
Do I recognize the altar? Said the priest without religion.
There's no markings or anything of like on it, just like a pile of stones.
Do you know of any bone gods?
I don't know, do I? Do I know bone gods?
As you guys are approaching the altar and inspect it, you do notice a few more than usual Moonmug coming out from the tree line, watching you very suspiciously.
Eldove waves.
I nod. Sup?
I'm gonna go have a look at the bones instead.
Roll a nature check.
Alright. Let's see.
Just Orphan?
Well, she's the only one who's examining the bones right now.
Alright.
I got it. 20.
20.
21. 21, yeah.
They're definitely bones. They look like fangs or talons of some kind. But you're not sure what kind of creature would be unimaginably large enough to produce... Like, even a dragon doesn't have fangs this size.
Man, I would ask the Moonmug about it, but I don't think any of them can understand me.
Yeah.
Plus, I don't think they'd be willing to volunteer too much information.
Is anybody defacing the altar?
No.
Does anybody plan on
Not
casting
yet.
any spells today?
did you guys
Yeah.
tell Tarin not to cast spells?
I'm gonna see if I can. Well, it's probably gonna go poorly, but I'm gonna
Tarin, I think you'd intuit after watching Eldove for about 30 seconds and he hasn't cast a spell yet.
What was Orphan gonna do?
go up to one of the Moonmug who's watching them, point at the bone things, and just kind of like make a shrugging motion. Like, what are these?
Looks over at the bones, looks back at you, and taps the ground with his great club a few times.
Alright, that didn't tell me anything. Oh well.
Eldove speaks Gnomish.
I'll see Orphan messing around with the bones. I'll just go over and I'll say, do you know what kind of animal these bones are from?
You ask of one of the Moonmug?
Yeah.
I told you I fell in love with his name, guys. It's awesome.
They're
The
great.
moon mug.
That moon mug the camera.
He tells you they're the bones of a beast that the Moonmug slayed in their grandfather's grandfather's time. And he says this very proudly. And then he beats you with his club because you're using magic to do the worm in midair.
Well, Moonmug, I suppose it's a lot better than Moon.
I'll tell them they're very impressive.
I'm not going to repeat that.
The day comes and goes,
Yeah.
provided nobody does anything with hostility. You don't launch
No.
any attacks or set any fires or
Yeah.
try to topple over their altar.
If Zook keeps trying to talk to these dudes who are guarding him, do they get do they just ignore me? Do they keep taunting me? Do they ever get at all like interested in just talking?
No, they're very interested in taunting you. They're very interested in making very clear that they've got you now, basically.
All right. Well, after a few minutes of that, Zook would probably just lay down and try to take a long rest.
I'm gonna roll that he can't in this cage.
Can I take a short rest?
Short rest you can have, and sleep you can have, but it's gonna be a very restless sleep.
Because they're like, he's sleeping. Let's rock the cage some more.
Basically, that and the cage is not particularly comfortable or conducive to taking a long rest, nor is your state of mind. You have to be in relative safety to take a long rest.
All right. Well, that's fine. I'll go ahead and roll some. I'll try and roll my hit dice back up and get a full rest. I was hoping to get my lucky points back.
And that goes for the rest of you in the clearing as well. A short rest is appropriate here, but not a long one throughout the night. Assuming any of you try to sleep or set a watch, or I'm not sure what you're going to do.
I think we'd have a watch.
Yeah,
I
we
just need a
should
short rest to reattune to my equipment then.
Okay. The next morning, sometime before sunrise, Zook, you were jostled awake very violently, and you realize the cage is being dropped out of the tree. Crashes to the ground. 4 of the moon mug come over and lift it up off the ground. The rest of you were woken up in the clearing just about sunrise by a lot of activity in the clearing. Let me spawn in some more dudes. These actually need to be bigger. These 9-foot tall giants.
Bruh.
Behind the altar stands one of the creatures, and instead of wearing a mismatch of cloth and scarves and just tattered cloth, he's actually wearing what looks to your eyes to be green priestly vestments. They're not clean, they're not organized, but they're not as disheveled as the rest of them. He matches quite a bit better. And flanking him on either side are 2 more of the giants wearing the mismatched white robes. 1 off on each side. And as for just standard moon mug, oh, I don't know how many of these should I spawn in.
All.
They're just filling the place up. I mean, a lot of the tribe has come out. This is the first time you've seen female specimens of the species. They're shorter,
How do we know?
less muscular, and wearing a different set of colors, whereas the males stick to like very gaudish, like a mismatch of all kinds of colors. The females seem to stick to wearing lighter colors, pinks and blues, things like that. So by their build and by a clear differentiation in color, you can tell which ones are males and which are females. You should not attack either of them, Eldove.
Do we see any kids?
Oh, I'm going to turn
Are there
myself
kids?
invisible and leave.
Okay. Children, you don't see any that are child-sized, I'll put it that way.
Orphan, you can come too.
Should we roll initiative, or... No? Okay.
Yeah, no.
You do not see Barnabas among them.
Who are the ones at the altar? Sorry, I stepped out for a minute.
This one here is one wearing green priestly vestments. He's wearing what looks like just robes that are made for someone of his size, obviously stitched together by the moon mug. But he doesn't look like a mismatch. It looks like it was particularly made to fit his build. The deformities under the build, the robes take that into consideration so they hang properly down. He's not just covering himself with whatever he's found. And to his side are standing 2 more of the ones in white. Some of them are armed with great clubs, some of them are not. Each of the ones in white have a staff. The one in green, he's not wielding it, but sitting next to him, so that the shaft is pointing into the air, is a great warhammer.
Shit.
I knew it was coming. Why did I even say that word?
How great is that warhammer?
None of you could lift it. I'll put it that way. Especially not Eldove.
Not even with.
Oh, I could lift it with telekinesis. Don't
Yeah.
worry.
Do you?
No, not yet.
Go ahead and place yourself where you're going to
Yeah, we can
stand for the proceedings.
Where do they have Zook?
They haven't brought him in yet.
Hmm.
You don't see Zook
Hey.
anywhere.
Hey, let's
So we don't
stand
see
as a
Zook
group.
and we don't see Barnabas, right?
You don't see Zook, you don't see Barnabas.
Yeah. Alright.
Wow, rude.
And the Moonmug make no effort to stop you from moving over onto the side, but they do give you a wide berth. As you
Good.
decide to take up your place there.
We have cooties.
Let's just keep moving around in a circle.
And before long, 4 of the Moonmug bring Zook in. Where's Zook's little guy?
Off to the right.
Ah, there he is.
Over there.
And they carry in his cage. And the cage is affixed to one of the bones that are overhanging the altar. And he's just dangling there next to this priest and his giant warhammer.
Waves at Eldove. Hey, Eldove!
Hi, Zook.
What language do you say that in? No language?
Elvish.
Elvish?
No.
Oh no, Draconic! Zook
No.
knows Draconic.
No, I only know Draconic swears.
No, I taught you all of Draconic, dude.
Oh, you did? That's right.
Yeah.
Well, the
Jesus.
priest is speaking in Gnomish. And he calls out that today is a transcendent day for the Moonmug tribe. That's one of the defilers, and with this he rakes his hand across the cage holding Zook, and it sways back and forth precariously on this bone. One of the defilers from long ago, one of their descendants, has been found in our wood, and a great cry goes up from all the rest of them. And you hear similar cries echoing from the woods behind you, off in the distance. He looks, he says, Zook, the trespassing gnome, the great defiler, have you a family name?
I do actually. I tell him, I say, yes, my family name from where I come from, a great ways away in a different world, is Timbers.
And then, at that, he reaches down and picks up this great warhammer and holds it high above his head. And he calls out. He says, Zook, the first of the Timber clan the Moonmug bring to justice. May one day we
Captain.
find the rest.
You said you used to be a lawyer, right? Or at least training to be one. Now might be a good time to start working on that.
I don't know. I don't know if he knows Moonmug law.
Zook says, yes, first and only timber, because there are no other timbers in this world.
You begin to
Alright, I'll
speak, but you are
Purple.
drowned out by the sounds of Moonmug cheers around you. And a couple of them, one of them standing off to the side, 2 of them standing off to the side, I'm sorry, walk up to the altar, carrying all the objects that were found in your pack. The priest
Like
says,
Chrono Trigger.
Zook of Clan Timber, you stand accused of grievances ancient and unanswered for. You stand accused of trespassing, of sneaking and skulking. Another
Those
Moonmug
sound like Zook.
steps over from the side. This one is not wearing his full contingent of robes. He turns around and shows his back, his naked back, to the congregation of giants and player characters. And you see a wound on his back when you all look at it, where Zook's knife was plunged in. You stand accused of injury inflicted upon an old forest elf. You stand accused of unlawful poaching.
Wait a minute. Did he say forest elf?
He said old forest elf.
Captain, did you hear that?
No, I don't speak Gnomish.
All right.
One of the ones here throws the net and the bag onto the
Eldove,
altar.
start translating now.
The net and the bag onto the altar that Zook was bound in. and
Translate
indicates...
now.
I'm talking. Are you talking? Should I wait till you're done?
No.
Okay. He throws the net in the bag on the altar, and you can see where the few cords of the net that Zook cut through, and the hole he slashed through the bag. He says, you stand accused of attempting to slip good and lawful bondage. One of them steps forward and upends the pack, and all of Zook's valuables spill out. His coin, his jewelry that he has quite a lot of. He has this giant orange gem listed at like 3 different places on his character sheet. So you stand accused of excessive wealth, unbefitting a commoner. They throw down your cloak, your dark cloak, and then next to it, the sand-colored cloak that you carry, that you've been carrying since the crypts. It says, you stand accused of a disturbing absence of color. They throw down your lockpicks, your thieves' tools. Clear intent to commit robbery. They throw down your tinderbox and torches and say, clear intent to commit arson. They place your bottle of poison on the altar. Clear intent to poison. They throw down your bloody arrowhead, your shark tooth necklace. Stand accused of barbarism against lesser creatures. They set the, and I doubt you remember you have this, but your bottle of white mists that you took from the Sea Witch's cave.
Oh no, I knew I had that. I've been waiting for that.
So you stand accused of imprisonment of sentient creatures. And then the priest indicates along Zook the chain tattoos he has along his forearms and around his neck. He says, and league with devils or worse. And then he turns back to...
Accurate.
Orphan bristles slightly at this.
I was about to say, I shoot a glance at Orphan like, what?
Can we just assume Eldove's been
It's a
doing
long
running
story.
translation for these guys?
can we assume that, Eldove? Have you been...
I've been doing it quietly, such that Khalil can't hear.
It's actually... There's so much ruckus coming from the Moonmug as they cry out in answer to each of these accusations placed at Zook. You could speak with a conversational tone so that the party can hear you without raising any suspicion. Like, nobody will be able to overhear. They're standing too far away from you.
No, it's just Eldove is going to be a dick about it.
Unless he shouts it as loud as a lion can roar, nobody's going to overhear you.
No, Nodal's going to be a dick about it and say, just be a dick to Khalil.
I don't know that Khalil's trustworthy.
And the priest turns back to the congregated group.
Says the man that you've been traveling for about a year with.
And he says, and now we will hear the answers for these charges. We will hear the words of the accused. And he motions up to Zook. And the murmur of the crowd dies down and becomes very silent, except for the sounds of the forest around you. And the two ones in white and the priest standing next to him all look up at you expectantly.
Still no sign of Barnabas, huh?
Nope.
You want me to answer for my possessions? You want me to answer for these items that I've acquired in my journeys? I can tell you that I come from a long way away, from a place you've probably never heard of because it's impossible for you to have heard of it. And these items that you accuse me of using maliciously are all remnants from many, many adventures where I have helped protect people. The poison that you found is evidence that was used against an assassin's guild that was trying to take over a town. The bloody arrowhead is a trophy from when I fought off a necromancer that was attempting to destroy many lives and possibly even the world as we know it. What else do I have? The bottle of icy fog was a possession of the necromancers that I have had ever since, trying to determine what.
That's not where you found that.
Oh,
the icy fog came from the giant sea turtle shell from the Sea Witch. She had several bottles of them, and you all took one.
Yeah, that. We rescued a prince of a nearby land from a nearby land from a sea witch, from which we found several of the items such as the shark's tooth necklace and the bottle, the frozen bottle. These are not signs of malicious intent or wrongdoing. These are merely the meager possessions I have acquired in my journeys, trying to aid lesser people.
How many gold pieces do those meager possessions contain?
Only 7 gold pieces
Okay.
that I have on me. Now, I do have 101 platinum.
Yeah, there's a large pile of platinum that was upended onto the altar, and much silver besides, and a large pile of valuable jewelry. And the magic coin, but they don't know it's magic.
That gnome was holding out on us.
What? I gave you guys like $7,000. Anyhow. Is there any response, or are they just
No, they're waiting for you to talk. This is your chance to speak in defense of the charges that they've laid at your feet.
The companions that have joined me to this tribunal, each has been a part of this adventure. We've merely been trying to find our way through this land, which is strange to us, and find our way home. We did not come into this forest with any ill intent. We were merely trying to pass through one of many lands that we have passed through, and until we were beset in the night, we had not attacked any of your people. We had not encountered any of your people. The first I knew of your people was when I was...
At this point, one of the Moonmug cries out. It says, "It rambles instead of giving a defense. Let's be on with it! Put his head on the block!" And many of the Moonmug take up that cry. "Head on the block! Put his head on the block!"
Tarin's going to move up to there as they're doing so and speak over the mind link. Ask about the statute of limitations for these crimes.
Well, so Tarin's stepping out into the
I
path.
have to be that close to mind link.
Okay,
yeah.
that's fine.
And when I hear that, and I say, when will what of these crimes that I am supposed to have committed? I am only a young gnome. I'm probably far younger than many of you even here. I cannot have had anything to do with these crimes.
It takes a moment for
short.
the priest to regain silence, that he's losing control over the crowd, until he holds his hands out and creates the sound of a dragon's roar. He's using minor illusion to do this, obviously. And at that, it's as loud as a lion. I knew if I didn't say it, Nodal was going to fucking say it. Yes, it's that loud. And at that, the murmur again dies down. It says, "We have all heard the words of Zook of Clan Timbers, but he has said nothing as to the charge of grievances ancient and unanswered for."
Grievances ancient and unanswered for. I am not ancient. I have no knowledge, no capability to have had anything to do with these ancient grievances. I am not part of any clan of this world, and I am only 50 human years old.
He says, "Your knowledge of the charges is irrelevant. What is relevant is that one forest gnome stands guilty with them all." And this also elicits a cry from the crowd of agreement that at least it's the guilt of them all. Hang him, burn him, bind him, and toss him in the lake, etc., etc.
So what you're not so what we're here for is not so much of a trial, but more of a lynching.
And again, it takes a moment for the priest to regain control of the crowd, bring their cries down to a dull roar. And he addresses the crowd at this point. He says, "It has been a long time since the Moonmug have had a feast. A long time that we have celebrated the capture and trial of one of the accursed defilers. But we have one now before us. And in front of his guilty eyes he shall see us celebrate and make merry ourselves." And at this, more Moonmug come out from behind the party in the other congregation. They bring out food. They bring out large casks, begin placing them around. And there is indeed a feast. A huge boar is brought out. A fire goes up in the center of the clearing as two of the giants sit down and build it. And thus begins the merriment. The priest comes down carrying his hammer to say a few priestly words over the food. The two in white are the only ones that don't make a move. Everyone else begins to join the festivities. And the PCs will be left to their own devices. So if you want to roll initiative, now's the time.
How's the food look?
Looks friggin' delicious.
I knew Eldove was gonna try to eat.
I mean, the centerpiece is
sounds like a good idea.
is this gigantic boar that's roasted over a spit. Obviously, not enough meat on this one boar to feed all of these giants. But there's
Would
a lot of
George
lesser food
R.
as well.
Martin spend like 3 paragraphs describing this food?
No, because George R. R. Martin would see this feast and go into diabetic shock and not be able to write. Not that he needs a particular reason to not write. He's, oh, it's Thursday. I'm not writing today.
Eldove's
Whatever.
gonna have some.
The two in
gonna
white.
try some of that food too.
Yeah. Well, we will partake in the festivities.
Okay. The food is crudely prepared, but I mean, it tastes good enough. Fills you up. It's obviously not like an elvish banquet or anything like that. But I mean, they make no move to stop you, and they don't even particularly see that it's untoward for all of you to come forward and feast with them.
Man,
have a feast
Really?
we gotta give up Zook.
They're not
Warlock.
impressed?
That said, though, they're not particularly interested in celebrating with you. They keep to their own. When they break open the casks, they make toasts amongst each other. Nobody approaches you to socialize, but they don't make any move to stop you from partaking.
Do they stop me if
What
I
are
bring
they-
food to Zook?
They do. If you approach the cage with food, the two ones with staves stand in your way.
What language are they speaking in, Gnome?
As far as you can tell, yeah, they're still speaking Gnomish.
I'll ask Zook. Tell me how to say when do the accused eat in Gnomish?
And I give him the rough translation of that.
Tarin, make a charisma check.
$21.
You manage to stammer out these words in Gnomish. When does the accused eat? And they exchange glances, look back at you, say he doesn't. Not until after the tribunal.
I assume Zook translates that for me.
No, he said he
yeah,
spoke it in broken common.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Yeah, he spoke it in broken common.
How long does the tribunal last? I'll ask this in common.
So it will be over tomorrow night. This is the quicker you and your companions speak up in his defense, the quicker it can be all over with. And you can be on your way.
Mm-mm.
Does he at least get water in before then?
Why is this any concern of yours?
Well, obviously a civilized, society with you with such rule of law must treat the accused with some dignity so that you can properly kill him. I mean, wouldn't it be terrible to rob your people of the justice they deserve if he dies of thirst hanging there?
Make a
Zook
persuasion
gets a dry
check.
cough.
Let's see a persuasion check on that.
Good at this.
That would be a 34.
Make it a 34?
I'm sorry,
Wow.
24.
I was gonna
24, my fault.
say, my
Yeah,
god.
yeah. No,
Make an
Wow.
insight check as well.
Okay, no, I'm not good at this one. 9.
Fuck by
9.
Khalil.
You make the argument that Zook should be fed and given water so that he doesn't dry out before they have the chance to mete justice out upon him. And the two of them lean in towards each other and exchange words in Gnomish that you can't hear. Zook, you can't hear them either. They're too far away from you. Then they stand tall again and face you. Say, very well. Let's bring him a crust of bread, a flagon of water.
Okay, I'll do so.
Hey, and they take the bread and water from you. They turn around. They set it up on the edge of Zook's cage.
I say to them in Gnomish as they hand it to me, thank you for your kindness.
And he just snorts derisively in response.
Tarin will eat like here and not take his eyes off the guard.
The bread's fresh. The bread's very good. You're not sure whose bones they ground to make this bread.
Be some other gnome. I'm now a cannibal. Zook tries to address the two priestly-looking ones near him and
Okay.
says, "So you two are right with this as well?"
You say you're right with this?
All right with this.
And the response is, why wouldn't we be? Justice is being done. It's a glorious day.
Okay. I just thought maybe you guys were, you seem to be priests of some sort. I thought maybe you were above this all.
Does anybody try anything funny during the celebration? Well,
define funny.
Define during
define
the
funny.
celebration.
Defining funny as anything we'd have to roll initiative for.
Define during
no.
the celebration.
The celebration
think it
lasts
would-
well into the night.
I think it would be fun to challenge one of these giants to a drinking contest.
Okay, how do you go about doing this?
Yeah, I've been thinking about that.
Yeah, this sounds like a great idea. Let's fucking do it.
I mean, Eldove could. If you convince Eldove that it's a good idea, he could translate, obviously.
Now, how many of you have been drinking their liquor?
Tarin hasn't. He has his own class.
I haven't had any yet.
Okay.
Since
It isn't good enough for Eldove.
I've theoretically given this up, but in an effort to make...
Khalil will not break bread or make merry with anybody who's about to kill one of his friends.
Oh, Khalil
See-
has friends?
My thinking is the opposite approach, where
Okay.
if we can impress the giants, we make it harder for them to make this decision, and maybe cause some sort of derision or
Okay.
instill doubt or...
Arik doesn't speak Gnomish, though, does he?
No.
So who is translating to facilitate this challenge?
Eldove has to think this is a great idea.
You have to tell me whether or not you ask Eldove.
Yeah, I ask Eldove, that's fine. Hey, Eldove, what do you think of this idea?
Eldove thinks it's a fantastic idea.
That's what I thought, yeah.
So, Eldove, how do you go about initiating this challenge?
I'm gonna slam the mug down on the table, and I'm gonna say, which of you is man enough to challenge the priest to a drinking contest?
Okay, well, first of all, there's no table. They built a fire and there's a
They
spit
don't have
over
a
it.
wooden table?
No. They do
What is
not.
even on the
Food on.
altar?
The
No,
floor.
I'm kidding.
They've been sitting on the ground. They're not exactly civilized people. They've just been tearing into the meat and bread and food and whatnot with their bare hands.
Alright, well, no
We'll
table then.
slam the flagon onto the ground then.
Do you use minor illusion to yell the challenge as loud as a lion could roar?
Oh, don't do it.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's not appropriate. only like a quarter as loud as a lion can roar.
I mean, a couple of the Moonmug hear it, and they think you're joking. A couple of them start laughing unkindly in the direction of you and the priests.
Of course they do.
Eldove will start and say, well, you don't think you can take him, I can understand.
Arik, are you even holding a mug at this point? Have you done any drinking?
No, I've not done any drinking yet. I mean,
One of the Moonmug
Yeah.
walks over to you. You're laying on. You're already passed out on the ground. What do you mean you haven't been drinking? One of the Moonmug walks over with 2 mugs of this whatever they're drinking. He sits down on the ground with a loud thud. Places one of the mugs in front of you, and he barks in Gnomish loudly so that all his friends around him can hear him. He says, I accept the challenge.
Alright, cool.
Motion, Aaron.
Now, Arik, this mug holds enough drink for a 9-foot-tall giant.
That's what I thought. Cool.
And a small crowd has begun to form around. What's the rest of the party doing at this spectacle?
I'm gonna watch.
Khalil would,
This looks
would
amazing.
hear this nonsense and turn around to watch.
Tarin
Actually,
doesn't-
he would move
Wait.
over.
Orphan, you're immune to poison, right?
Yeah. I don't. Yeah, I was wondering about that ever since I got that class feature. I was like, I don't know if I can get drunk
Does she
anymore.
get drunk anymore?
No, being drunk is not the same as being poisoned. She can absolutely get drunk.
But she can't get alcohol poisoning if
But
she
I can't.
drinks too
Yeah, but I
much.
can't get alcohol.
I can cure poison. It's fine.
Tarin
get
doesn't take
drinking.
his Tarin doesn't take his eyes off Zook for this.
Okay. And the 2 guards, the 2 white-robed guards standing to the side, also don't take their eyes off Zook. The priest, the one with the hammer, after an hour or two of celebration, leaves the area, wherever he's going to go to prepare for the tribunal tomorrow. So, Arik, what is your intention with this mug? Like, what's the plan? Are you going to do some kind of magical fortitude against it? Are you going to try to pour it out without drinking it? Like, what's the idea?
No, this is straight up drinking contest.
Straight up drinking contest.
Yeah.
All right.
This was something he did in a past life, and sort of did when dealing with what's his name several adventures ago.
Right.
You do know what we have to do tomorrow, right?
So
yeah,
the moon mug barks out. This is the human first.
First.
All eyes are on you.
Drink it. All right. Yeah. No. I go to work. I stand up, and I guess I gotta, because it's huge. I gotta two-hand it and start.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you could get one firm hand around the handle of this mug, but
no.
And it's just crudely made out of wood. It's nothing special, really.
Right. No, I two-hand. I start chugging. And
I mean,
as best a sailor of my intention would be able to.
You start chugging, and I mean, the froth of this beer covers your face. It's very, very potent, very strong.
Eldove has a big smile on his face.
Not particularly tasty. First, I want a Constitution
save. Where he's
save.
at?
Oh, you can see, yeah. First, I want a Constitution save just to see if you can get it all down.
Uh, 15.
Okay. Now I want a Constitution save to find out like how it affects you.
No sell it. Just no sell this beer.
17.
That's pretty no sell.
You chug it. I mean, the beer spills down your face and into your beard and down the front of your robes, and you just upend this giant mug. And at the end of it, you slam the mug on the ground and you reach up and you wipe the froth away from your face, and you're swaying back and forth a little bit. But you manage to get back down on the ground without making too much of a spectacle of yourself.
Cole puts his hands on his.
I am embellishing the hell out of this. I let out a roar and I slapped my chest a few times. Really impressed with myself.
Will pats Arik on the back a couple times.
And it's hard to see the emotions on these creatures because their faces are bound, but by their body language, the way they're looking at each other, you seem to have surprised a few of them. The one you're sitting in front of reaches down and grabs his mug, and he just throws it back, pours it into the folds of his robes where his face would be, chugs the whole thing, and slams his down on the ground. Says another, and before it's long, 2 more giant mugs are brought out.
You got this. You got this. You got this, holy man.
Do I? Yeah, I'll go again. Why not?
The rules of the drinking contest is going to be a con save every round, and the difficulty is going to get higher and higher. You have to make 2 con saves to his 1, because first you're trying to get a vast quantity of liquor down, and second, it's more difficult for your system to process the booze. So go ahead and make 2.
I'm a sailor, though.
More and more, this is seeming like a better idea.
Yeah. Yeah, this is...
So that's one fewer period. Talk about
that's
tomorrow.
no good. That's a 6.
That's a 6. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're getting this mug down, and this is more just in terms of a quantity of liquid. This is more than you've ever put into your face in this span of time before, and you're having a really hard time getting it all down.
Should I make the second one?
Not yet.
All right.
You start to retch the back of your throat, like your body is starting to reject just this sheer amount of fluid. 1 more Constitution save.
All right. 12?
And more of it is spilling down your body as less and less of it makes its way into your mouth. But you manage to, again, get it all down and keep it from coming back up. And...
like the sailor I am.
It's like it's very difficult because to your palate, it doesn't taste like beer or ale. It's more like a hard liquor. It's more like you're chugging a mug full of whiskey. Would be a better approximation. Now make a con save. And I'm going to increase the difficulty.
After this, let's go get tattoos.
Eric, can you use your water powers to keep your fluids down?
Oh, that was so close to a 20. Oh. Oh.
And this one, you get the whole second mug down, and you go to slam it down again with to make a show of bravado, but this time the mug slips out of your hand, clatters to the ground, and you fall over backwards. The whole world is swimming. Your head is still... So Khalil catches him?
Eldove laughs.
I have a big-ass grin on my face, though.
You're
I've
still
missed
conscious,
these days.
and you feel like you're getting very ill very quickly. Moonmug reaches down and grabs his mug, upends it into his face.
Tarin will initiate the mind link with Zook.
He downs the whole mug, slams it down, and yells out, "Another!" Before long, 2 more mugs are come back.
Oh,
and
I yield.
Duke says
it
to
looks
Tarin,
like
yield.
Eric looks down. It looks like 3 mugs have been set in front of him. His vision is just squinting.
Eric, you can't do this. Come on, man.
So you yield. How do you yield? Like what do you?
What do
What
we
do you,
even
what do you
keep you
say you
around
do?
for?
I say that he's impressed me, and I yield him as the victor.
And Eric opens his mouth and just lets out this belch that just consumes the woods, and he slurs something totally unintelligible out. Khalil, you're still holding him?
Do we hear a dozen belches echo from the forest?
Not yet.
So, does the belch silence the din for just a moment?
Oh no, nothing silences the din. I mean, you all hear it like it's like half belch, half speech kind of thing. And he slurs something totally unintelligible out, and then his bladder just empties into his
Wow.
Oh,
breeches.
come on!
Onto Khalil.
Oh, is that the 3rd con save?
Oh yeah, you fucked that con save up. You needed at least a 13.
Wait, he
I was-
pisses himself?
Yep.
Oh goodness.
He barely passed the
Eldove,
con
where's
save to see if
Eldove?
he retches everything up back into his mug. And
Did you drop him?
you are like on the verge of blacking out. Like if you don't
Oh, I
focus.
imagine I totally black out because now would be a great time for me to take my break.
Okay, so yeah, Eric he belches, slurs something out, pisses himself, and falls over unconscious. The Moonmug sitting there grunts in just mockery, and then he reaches forward and downs both of the mugs in front of him, stands up, lets out this loud belch of his own, and then marches away. But you can see he needs like the aid of his companions to not fall over.
All right, I will be right back then. I'm
I
gonna
think
take a
Tarin
break.
said something about a mind link.
Yes.
Zook's
His
just
body
gonna,
in the cage.
Zook is just gonna say to Tarin, "What the fuck are you guys doing?"
I don't pretend to know.
I mean, if this is somehow working towards my defense, bravo, but I'm not sure how.
They didn't really tell me about this plan, and well, I could go for a drink right now. I don't think now is exactly the best time.
Now, the sun is beginning to go down, and tomorrow morning the tribunal is going to resume. Here's how it's going to work. They placed 14 charges on Zook, based on their fervid imaginations and his actions since he's been in the woods. You're going to have to speak in defense of specific charges when you get up to speak tomorrow. So if you guys want to split the accusations up amongst you, or if you're all going to speak on all 14, that's something you should probably confer and decide right now.
I'll defend Zook's love of color.
Now remember,
I'll defend all 14.
your goal is
Yeah,
not...
Can you?
Yeah, I'll go down the list again in a second here for anybody who wants to make a list. Remember, your goal is not really to defend Zook. You were told by Barnabas your goal is to draw the trial out so it spills into a 3rd day.
If we successfully,
Eric
defend
is
Zook,
not
I
going to
can
be
get
in
an
any
elixir.
shape at all to speak tomorrow. Eric is out.
Thanks, Eric. This is a good plan. I like this.
I mean,
Great.
I'm not going to say he's out. I mean, he comes back from his break, and but it's going to be interesting if he goes to speak with his hangover.
Yeah.
Good people.
So, all right, here I'm going to run down the charges again. Anybody who wants
Okay.
to write them down and prepare what you're going to say, because I'm going to take a quick break here in a little bit too.
Okay.
The first was grievances ancient and unanswered for.
That sounds like a Tarin one.
I'm doing all 14.
Yeah, Tarin says he's going to speak the whole way down, which is probably a good
Tarin,
idea.
you gonna write them all down?
Yes.
Write them on the loot document.
I can move them there after I'm done.
Okay.
The second is trespassing. The third, and I'll go into some detail on each of these guys. Trespassing is just him being in the woods. The third, sneaking and skulking, which means
That's undefendable.
he used a hide action, and one of the giants saw him. The fourth, injury inflicted upon an old forest elf, because he stabbed one of these giants. Unlawful poaching, because he's been catching rabbits and squirrels and shit. Attempting to slip good and lawful bondage, because he cut his way out of the net in the bag. Excessive wealth, unbefitting a commoner, because he was carrying a vast quantity of wealth. A disturbing absence of color. He only wears dark clothes, he had a dark cloak, and then that dreary-looking sand-colored cloak. Clear intent to commit robbery, because of his possession of thieves' tools. Clear intent to commit arson, because of his possession of a tinderbox and torches. Oh, let me ask Zook, because this sounds like the kind of thing you would do. Did you turn over the invisible amulet, or are you still holding that?
I don't know where I'd be holding that.
Well, remember, that amulet is literally invisible. So they
amulet
won't... The amulet itself is invisible, if you recall.
Oh,
that's why I'm asking.
If it's literally invisible, then they would not have seen it when they went through my bag, right?
If it was in your bag, but I'm asking, did you even put it in your bag to begin with, or did you keep it on your person?
I think I remember he used it during the altercation, so I imagine it'd still be on his purpose.
Let me ask you this, because I don't remember the original description of it. Was it on a chain of some sort, or is it literally just a rock?
It's like an amulet. It has shape and form to it, but it was on a chain originally. The chain is visible, but you can take it off the chain. That's what I'm asking. Do you still have it now, or is it in your bag?
I can't think of a bullshit enough reason of why I would have kept it on me if I was trying to make myself appear unarmed and innocent. So I probably would have slipped it in my bag.
Okay. Okay, so where were we? Clear intent to commit arson. Clear intent to poison. He was in possession of poison. Barbarism against lesser creatures. Their evidence there was the shark tooth and the bloody arrowhead. Imprisonment of sentient creatures. The evidence there was the bottle of icy mist.
Yeah, we got to come back around to that one at some point.
And the final charge is league with devils or worse, because of his chain tattoos. Is anybody else going to do anything awesome during the celebration and debauchery tonight?
Oh, please, let somebody else pass out and be unavailable tomorrow.
Arik's witness will be very interesting if we get that far. Very interesting indeed.
Do they have any access to me overnight, or am I squirreled back away and under guard?
They'll have to go through the guards. After the sun goes down, the two guards change out with two other staff-wielding, white-robed giants.
I mean, I imagine Tarin with it standing where he is, if you like mind link, and we have access to him anyway.
Oh yeah, you can converse with Tarin over the mind link very easily.
Yeah, so I can be part of this conversation if you guys want me to be.
Alright, well, League with Devils or worse, as far as I know, Khalil was there for that, and his whole deal was, okay, he got some loot out of it, and it did that to him.
He was just holding on to my money for me, and I'm sure as hell not a commoner.
I am going to take a quick 5-minute break so I can go to the fridge, refresh my drink. Not quite late enough for dinner break yet. I gotta wait for Peanut to get home for a dinner break.
Alright.
Wait. Oh, not you, wait. The group wait.
Okay.
I'm gonna take a break too.
I know there was some joking about this, but am I Duke Zook?
You are!
No,
I am
he's
not a commoner. I am Duke Zook.
Yes! Yes, you're Duke Zook! I forgot about that.
Yes!
That's amazing.
That is amazeballs.
I thought we
that is
agreed
our
that
defense.
Zook would just thought he was a dude.
You agreed that.
Nope.
We agreed that the agreement was basically that he would be addressed as Duke Zook. He did not care whether or not the paperwork would be through, but in his own mind, he is Duke Zook.
This is going to be amazing.
Tarin's whole plan is just to create a very convoluted series of interconnected plot threads that really doesn't lead anywhere, which is something I think he would be quite good at. He's really not going to address the charges at all. He's just going to do things like, well, you're obviously calling him into double jeopardy for calling him both a intent to commit arson and an unlawful poaching, because how could he poach food without the means to cook it? But then, like, make it look like you were admitting to poaching, but then defend against the poaching. Like, he's just going to make it a huge mess.
And then let me show you this onion.
Here's the question I have. This is the one that Khalil, like, once he finally gets the translation for this, injury on an old forest elf, what the hell does that even mean? Like, that does not, like...
That sounds like a good idea. Let's just insult them.
I mean, who are these fuckers? That's Khalil's answer, because that's Khalil's question to that.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what is our knowledge of these things, because I know we sort of talked about it out of character, but like in character, we don't really know what these are, other than him saying they're elves of some sort.
No, they refer to themselves as old forest elves.
All right, well, then they're old forest elves. They're like forest elves out of Stephen King's Dark Tower or something, but frickin' beauties.
So no one else does any funny stuff during the night, though.
I wasn't planning on it.
No, Khalil. Khalil will be trying to be careful to make sure that Arik doesn't drown himself in his own vomit,
In his own sick.
Yeah.
Right back.
So, Tarin's plan is to talk in circles until the sun goes down.
Basically.
Now, good old-fashioned filibuster.
Yeah, the rule is, though, you're going to have to stay on point with the charges themselves. If you start to ramble, then it's probably going to go badly.
Did you put my charges on the loot sheet?
Yeah.
All right, so here's my thing on attempting escape. He had not been read any kind of charges or anything to that nature. Then, so how is he?
As far as I knew, I just had a net thrown over me in the middle of the night from someone unseen, someone unannounced.
Mm-hmm.
No one attempted to contact me.
That would be a self-defense.
And to that point, when I was approached, I came willingly.
Yeah. So that's where
Khalil and Zook are having this conversation via Tarin?
Yeah.
Okay. My phone keeps making that I'm about to die noise, and it's kind of pissing me off.
Ooh, what?
If you just ignore it long enough, that goes away.
Yeah, but if I ignore it for too long, then Peanut's going to call and be upset when I don't answer. Alright, I fixed it. Sorry about that.
And as far as stabbing something in the back, I literally was put in a bag, sight unseen, and was just trying to escape. I thought that I was being abducted by I didn't know what.
Intent to poison what?
That's a good question, Zook.
That is a good question.
What were you intending to poison?
I wasn't intending to poison anything. I kept that because it was evidence against an assassin's guild.
But all those assassins are in prison now.
Yeah, they were all brought to justice, and you're still carrying poison around.
Well, I thought that if I had the poison, I might be able to figure out a way to make an antidote in case anyone else ever used this poison. Possible-ish.
I don't remember what that poison does, I'll be honest. It goes with something horrible.
Damage, I think. We were stabbed with it a lot.
I think it was just damage over time.
It might be the strength poison too. There's a lot of strength drain in this campaign.
Yeah, you're right. It was damage. It was extra poison damage every time the assassins got you guys with it.
Okay.
I'm looking at this list that I wrote down on my notepad here, and wait. Oh wait, you said you put it in the party loot, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in the party loot. It's like in the middle of the party loot, because why? Like on page 2 of the party loot.
What's after the loot?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Trespassing, being on the lows, okay. Imprisonment of sentient creatures. What the hell is that about?
That's apparently the freezing fog is sentient. That's another thing I want to double back to. Because we've all of us have, well, not all of us, but I think we've got 4 of those, don't we?
Did we use some of them?
Yeah, I've still got one.
Nobody's ever used one.
I don't think anyone's ever used it.
No, we've just been carrying it around. So that's news to me that it's sentient.
Yeah. So this is what should have happened to Link in any Legend of Zelda game ever.
Wait, so if it's sentient, and I just want to ask this, and I don't want to make a case out of this, but should that have come up at any of the times when we did detect creature or anything? Or do you have to be looking at something very specific for that?
Detect creature, you have to be detecting a very specific kind of creature that you're familiar with.
Or detect evil, which picks up Fey and whatever. I'm not asking. I mean,
nobody's ever done that to these bottles, as far as I know. You detected magic, and the bottle is magic.
Okay, so we've got bottled Fey creatures or something that we haven't used.
Probably elementals.
But here's so again, here's my approach that would at least attempt to counter the inflicted injury upon an old forest elf and attempted to slip good and lawful bondage. Is that there were no charges known to Zook at the time at which that incident took place. Therefore, it can be argued that it was in self-defense.
Yeah. You should definitely talk long and boring and droning about the law and about your experience with the law for as long as possible.